What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Meet the. I'm Troy Rawlings, and today we have the beautiful, vivacious, yada yada yada. I don't want her to all coughing and laughing, and because she has a great personality as well as being a phenomenal doctor, nurse practitioner, aesthetic specialist, and the author.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many books, but her newest book, I don't know when you're going to see this, we try to keep it generic, is Unbreakable Woman, the one and only Dr. Natasha Weems. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Troy? I am blessed and highly favored. I'm happy to be here.
I'm good. And you should hear how she just cuts up and acts crazy offline, and now she's all professional. No, I'm just It's a joke. I actually met Dr. Weems through another friend and colleague of mine, Chef Key, and we were in Los Angeles at a Sheen event, actually, at a Sheen premiere event in the Hollywood Hills, and this sister comes in looking like hot damn. It was wonderful. Just had to. She stood out because she's a beautiful woman, obviously, but she stood out because she had that fuchsia pink that you see on her logo in her book, which must be her favorite color. She had a dress on that color, and no one else was touching it. And I was like, "Who's the sister?" And when she introduced, it's always funny when you hear somebody say doctor, but nurse practitioner. Mm-hmm. But then Key started talking about how you were helping her. Well, without further ado, I want you to get into it. I Tarantino a little bit, but tell folks where you're originally from.
I am born and raised in Detroit, west side of Detroit. So, relocating all the way to California has been quite a transition for me, but it was all supposed to happen this way, and I'm realizing that. So it's been quite a journey, but I'm excited. I've been meeting some amazing people in California, and just full of support, and just really just engaging me, and just really wanting to see me win. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah, and so this is something I wanted to ask, because when I saw the doctor, I was like, okay, what's her doctorate in? She's a nurse practitioner, and you're a proud, loving nurse practitioner, but you got your doctorate in nursing. Mm-hmm. So what was it about nursing that had you, because most of the nurses I know that are serious could easily be doctors. The things you learn, the bedside manner. Some of my closest friends are, my mom was a nurse and private duty nurse, my grandmother, my aunts, my one of my best friends, she was the person nursing there. The doctor would say something and the patient's family would look at her, and she was like, what he was saying was. Mm-hmm. So what made you stay in that field? What made you stay that course?
So there was multiple reasons why and how I ended up on the nursing journey. So first, I had nurses in my family. So when you're in an environment where you have these type of people as role models, you feel like you can emulate that. That's something that you can easily obtain. And that's exactly what happened for me when I was able to see my grandmother and my aunts in the grind mode and taking care of people just naturally, full of compassion, and just saying how they made a difference in their patients and the family members. And they were actually seen as people within the family as well respected, and people would reach out to them and ask them for medical advice, and just like really being a caregiver and provider. So that quite naturally, I was surrounded around that from very young, early on in life. And through my own personal experiences, just that interaction I had with nurses. For example, I was a young mother. And when I gave birth to my daughter, you could watch 1,000 YouTube videos about giving birth, right? Like you could read books, like, because your family is going to bombard you with all of this, this information in hopes to prepare you. But it wasn't until I gave birth, and I remember the feeling. My mother was at the bedside, and I was so afraid. I was mixed with so many emotions. And I had a nurse that was so compassionate. And this was before I even really, started nursing school. It was right around that time, but the compassion that she showed me, and she was just so diligent, and I could tell that she went above and beyond to make me feel comfortable. She can sense that uneasy feeling that I was having, and just her showing me how to hold my baby and breastfeed, and all of those things were just something that was just permanently pierced in my mind. I would never forget that feeling. You never forget how people make you feel. And that's like
Mhm.
the epitome of that statement for me, just how she interacted with me. And that's special. And I remember saying that I'm going to be that type of person. That is
Mm.
going to be something that I strive to do, to make a person feel like I matter. I'm not just another chart. I'm not just another person that's coming in and I have to get this person discharged. So that really resonated with me, and I've carried that throughout my life. I wish I knew that woman, that her name, so I could acknowledge her.
That's that's more than powerful. It's true. It's true. I mean, I have different women in my family with different personalities, this, that, and other. But the ones who love, my mother loved being a nurse. She didn't like hospitals later on in life and this, that, and other. And she was like, I don't like going. I was like, I used to be a nurse, isn't it? But what's so funny? I'll say this because you ladies and men who are nurses are superheroes. Doctors too, of course. But nurses, I don't know what it is. And I'm not saying doctors aren't compassionate. Doctors get a lot of flack nowadays because of Eastern West medicine versus Western medicine building, blah, 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 blah. But my mother, I and my aunt were in the mall when I was younger. I'll never forget this. And like a homeless guy, you could tell he was disheveled, had passed out, fell straight back.
Mm.
And without thought, my mother and my aunt went, started working, and my mother gave him homeless, smelled like all to be damned.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing, my aunt's doing compressions, my mother's giving them mouth to mouth, and they work on him until they paramedics whatever got there and revived him, and they were like, okay, whew, help me up, girl, big booty mom, and oh Lord, have mercy. They go over, and they was like, where is the Rite Aid? And I was like, Rite Aid? It's like, I need some Listerine immediately. Where is it? But in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't even a second thought. They went into, and my daughter looks at me like I'm crazy now. If my daughter's sick, she's like, I'm like looking at her eyes. I'm like, oh, baby, you about to get sick. Why are you talking to me like that? What's wrong? My mother used to be able to look in my eyes. You're absolutely right. There is a loving kindness and care, and you carry that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we met not so long ago. We've talked. We did. You
Mm-hmm.
actually carry that in your personality. I know somebody's like, no, she don't. I hate her, but you carry, you carry that in your personality. That's good stuff. So background in communications, going to nursing, and you decide to get your doctorate. How was that journey though, to get your doctorate in nursing?
The journey was I met different challenges and barriers, but even before that, I did pursue my degree in communications with the mindset of actually doing like healthcare administration and being in media as well. And I actually I wanted to be at the bedside, but I wanted to have options as well. And so it was always my plan to go into the medical field, even while getting my communications degree. So after getting my bachelor's in nursing, I advanced up to a master's, and that prepared me as a nurse practitioner, and
Mm.
has really given me more autonomy. And so with me, I never let grass grow under my feet. And I've always been a person in the room that is going to motivate you, that is going to encourage you, that is going to allow you to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I've always been that person. So whatever environment I'm in, I want to excel. I want to flourish. I want to try to be the best I can. So quite naturally, obtaining a doctoral degree in my profession, it would definitely assist with that journey. And so after doing that and being a part of research, it really opened my eyes, and I just try to encourage every woman that is in nursing or that are, they're thinking about going into nursing to really go for it. There's so many opportunities. There's so many different settings that I've had access to because I'm seen as an expert in my field. And so you're going to be asked to speak at different engagements. You're going to be asked to be a part of different media platforms. And
That pay well. I want let me interject a little bit because somebody may hear, oh, that's nice, and 501c3s. No. Keynote speakers get paid well. Okay. All right, let's go back.
Yeah. So for me, the journey, I had a lot of barriers along the road, but I am so thankful. I have so much gratitude for that journey, because you can't really regret anything. You have to take everything that you've been through in life as a learning experience and just have gratitude. And so that's the mindset that I try to carry. So I've really had an interesting journey. Because I think people like to look at the outcome version of you, and they aren't able to really appreciate the grind. And
Right.
so when I post something when I'm out of the country, or when you see that I'm having laughter or having fun, I say, please, let me have my peace, because I have grinded to be in the position to sit here and talk to you today. So it took a lot of work, a lot of hard work, discipline, a lot of days where I couldn't accept invites to weddings, to vacations. So during that chapter, that phase of journey, it was a lot of missed events because I needed to stay focused. So I explained.
And I said Tarantino a little bit. So she went from grinding to jumping out of planes. So what? When did you? Is that a regular thing, or you did it once and said yes? Okay, I'm good.
So I'm adventurous. And you could probably talk to me one day, and then in 2 weeks, I'm probably heading to like on an international flight somewhere. I'm just an adventurous type of person. And I think that for me, vacation traveling, that is my mental health. So I did skydiving in Maui, and it was the most beautiful experience, just to convey to you like how I really felt just being a bird's eye view, leaping out of a plane and just seeing the beautiful landscape of Maui. It was just the experience that you'll never forget.
So wait. So Maui, Hawaii, you were skydiving over water?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Where'd
I
you land?
encourage you to do it. So we obviously land on ground, but just being over the water, being over the water, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. And when you leap from the plane, you realize when you leap, you feel like if I can do this, there's not much that I can't do. Like you get that feeling very quickly. You realize very quickly, like if I'm brave enough to leap from an airplane, there's many things that I'm going to welcome the challenge of. So that's what that looked like for me. And I actually started doing private pilot lessons. I'm in California near Temecula, Marietta area, and we have an airport, a smaller airport, and private planes are just, coming and going, and there's a cafe there, and I met some really nice, interesting people. And I decided to start taking the private pilot lessons, although I don't fly as much as I would like to. But that is something that I am pursuing, and I would love to, see that through.
That's something. Shout out to my man, announcer for years. I have to check up on him, see how he's doing. But he a friend of mine. He used to be the announcer for Arsenio Hall. It's Arsenio Hall, that guy. But he's a pilot. And
Wow.
a friend of mine I was working with when I was working on my TV pilot referred me to him, and he took me up one day. We did the walk around in the plane, took me up, and we got above Santa Monica, making a flight around. And he said, "Okay, take the controls." I was like, "Take them where?"
Okay.
But when I tell you, I immediately got hooked. When we landed and came back, he said, "How was that?" I was like, "That was the best ride of car, bike, motorcycle, anything that I've ever been on." It instantly got hooked. And before I stop saying before I leave this planet, like it'll be the last thing I do. But I'm definitely going to get a pilot license. Amazing. Yeah, that's something I agree. So I guess I gotta, if I'm going to be pilot, I might as well know what it is to jump out of the plane. Just in case.
Yes. You do have to go skydiving. That would be nice, a nice experience. But yeah, I encourage that. I encourage that. And it's not a lot of Black pilots, and especially female. So, I just think whatever I can just be a visionary, and like I'm all about that. Like that keeps me going in life. I love being adventurous and exploring and showing other women like you can do this too. You can come from the inner city and fly a plane if you want to. Like it's just your mindset.
And you came up, like you said, you came up in Detroit, and you had nurses around you that kind of moved you that way. And you said, how old is your daughter now?
My daughter is grown. She's 18.
Oh, okay. But she's still, now what is she looking to do?
She's my child with autism. So she's looking to live the pampered life. No,
that was the first time I've heard somebody.
No.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it is what it is, right?
Let me say, right. It's some kid with autism
quite the pampered life.
Right.
But Summer, that's my firstborn. Summer, she's just like a beautiful soul, and she does want to open her own business where she's really into watches. And I don't know if you know much about children with autism. They really enjoy something, and they become a little like obsessed with it. They'll collect it. They'll have it around them. It's a part of their comfort at times. And so for her, it's been music, and she loves watches. And so she collects watches, but her father does too, actually. But she loves to collect watches. So she wants to, have a business in that regard. And I told her I would support that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me find out. I'm buying one of the summer edition.
You're going to have one of summer edition watches.
Right. She's like, this has an automatic. I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you, Summer. So, came up in Detroit. When did you know that it was time to leave Detroit?
So I am still very connected with Detroit. I'm actually there frequently. I have been traveling there at least like once a month. I conduct business in Detroit. I'm still licensed in Detroit, so I provide services there when I'm there. And so it's been an interesting journey, but we have decided to have more opportunities out in California. And so we decided to go ahead in that direction, but I'm very much so still tied to Detroit. So although that's not my primary residence, I'm always like kind of, still involved in doing things in the community. So.
No, very good, very good. And California is graciously so. Where's your office located in California? Because I do want to talk more about the Med Spa.
We're in Temecula. Yeah.
Okay. So you decide to now. Okay, tell us about this. Aesthetic specialist. I'm going to go into that. Mm-hmm. What made you head into the beauty and it's not cosmetic, because a lot of stuff you do is not, you don't do surgery. So the beauty and the flow of women. I mean, outside of obviously, but what made you go that direction with Med Spa?
I like to think that I really focus on the overall well being of a person. So for me, I don't focus on just aesthetics, I focus
Hmm.
on health and wellness. So I do a lot of weight loss management. So whenever you're, in hair loss rejuvenation, whenever you encounter patients that are having difficulties with losing weight and they have elevated A1C numbers, which is an indication of high risk for diabetes, or you have
Mm.
patients that had injuries and so due to that they're unable to be active and so they're gaining weight and they're seeing a decline in their health and some of their lipid panels, which is an indicator for cholesterol. Some of those are challenges, and when I can be a source of a person that can guide them and lead them in the right direction and be a health coach for them, I think it helps improve outcomes. And so for me, I look at the overall well-being women that I encounter, because many times when you have challenges with your weight, underlying issues could be mental health, it can be from depression,
Mm.
although it can be from other issues as well. But I do consult out to people with specialties in mental health, and so I can treat basic mental health conditions. But when you need psychotherapy or some routine therapy and counseling sessions, I do connect with people and advise them in that regard, and just like really tackling the cardiovascular disease. So, although I am from acute care, primary care, outpatient care, being in an environment where I don't have to just focus on that, but still tackle some of those issues, I really like the flexibility.
Mm.
So although someone might come in for weight loss, they could also receive services with skincare, skin cancer screening when you're doing a skin evaluation, and PRP, which is something where we utilize your plasma and we can inject it by microneedling or injection into the scalp or the areas of the hair loss, the alopecia. And many people have
So,
alopecia secondary to thyroid disorders or
so
depression or
you can
nutritional deficits. So
trying to
we
laugh, but I'm trying to find out. So what?
what's your problem? So we do try to, draw labs and really kind of get to focus on what the underlying cause is and try to address it as best as we can. But so yes, I am into aesthetics, but I still focus on the well-being, the overall well-being of the person, and try to tackle that mental health component and overall health and wellness to improve and reduce cardiovascular risk, diabetes risk, and other, chronic conditions. So,
I'm not
um,
just going to jump past the fact that you said plasma. You can take a person's plasma from their blood and do things with it as well.
the person that introduced us, Chef Key,
Yeah.
I love her. She's a doll. She's been in my clinic many times. She's had what they call a vampire facial, and pretty much it's just drawing
Oh,
your
okay.
blood and put it in a device and it'll separate the plasma from the blood, and you just take that plasma and try to identify. Some people like to have it inserted for alopecia, and some people actually like to have it inserted for a facial and for skincare. And yeah, so
I
it
know. I
really
know
like.
about this. I know about the separation of the plasma and the blood from giving blood, and
Mhm.
they'll say, hey, do you want to do basic or do you want? Can we do the separate? And I'm like, yeah, do the separate thing, and then like it takes a little long. We just got,
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know you schooled me on something.
Oh,
So
yeah, you could
so
definitely.
black women are I've been saying black women are vampires for years. So black women actually, I see what's happening now. You
I'm,
tapped
I'm
into your plasma, black women. No, sorry.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think being in California, I realized that Black women are a little different about their skincare and their aesthetics. They
The
seem
hell.
to prioritize it more than other areas that I visited or that I've encountered, but they really seem to, like really are into preventative measures we know that there's a, a ideology around like Black women and aging and how we tend to look younger for longer periods, but sometimes it can be counterproductive because then Black women aren't accessing like different, skin regimens or being
Mm,
proactive because they're automatically assuming like, oh, I'm gonna, have this, youthful look, and then
right,
they kind of tend not to access certain different services that could also be, an advantage too. And
right,
doing facials and moisturizing your skin, and those are some things that can help save your skin and protect your skin when you're exposed to sunlight, because California, you're going to have a lot more sun exposure
right,
than other
right.
people. So yes, Black women can have skin cancer. Black people can have skin cancer and other conditions as well. So sometimes you have like this false sense of security because of all of, those ideas of Black don't crack.
Right, right, right. Very good, very good. Plasma, plasma. Okay, so there was a, I know some, and some of y'all, you can definitely go to a website. All the information will be below as well. We'll talk more about it. But I did notice that you were doing certain things on the weight loss tip, like some kind of technique you do for, you know, I don't know, inches or whatever. I've been watching the videos and checking stuff out and seeing what you've been doing. And she looks like this when she's giving service. She doesn't have the whole thing on. She's like someone is taping no matter what. It's like you're like, I gotta be ready just in case. So how were you introduced to this method? Was it something that happened when you were in California, or did you start this in Detroit as well? Where when you got to California, did you say, I like this line of I wanna do the entirety wellness situation, and I want to be able to offer certain things that some people, because some of the stuff you do I haven't seen anywhere else.
I've been doing weight loss management quite naturally, even doing primary care outpatient, because you can do that a part of providing outpatient care, because people are going to come in with obesity, and you're going to have to be intentional about trying to gather a meal plan and connecting them with a dietitian or, different information. And surprisingly, I worked in the homeless community, and I was able to encourage homeless patients to become vegan. And I know that sounds like, and people are like, what? And so
It's hard
yes,
out here, doctor. Somebody give me a cheeseburger.
I,
But I'm,
because
but I
that's
met
what
some of them. I met some of them. It's like, here you go, brother. It's like, is that pork or beef, brother? It's like,
that's the thought process, is that it's too expensive to eat healthy, but there are some ways where you can not go to McDonald's or some of the fast food restaurants. It's okay to eat, things that you enjoy in moderation, but to eat that type of food every day, you can
yeah,
imagine why African Americans are at the highest rate of cardiovascular disease and other, prominent issues
food deserts,
regarding,
only going
health.
certain places. But yeah, you're absolutely
And
right.
in the
You're
inner
absolutely right.
city, you see this on every corner. It's an abundance.
Mm,
So I thought it was my duty to help promote and show them, like, you can go to grocery stores that have, some reasonable options and really make meals that are delicious. And that's one of the things that I've like teamed up with Chef Key. We have a cookbook, and that's filled with recipes that are geared to eating like a more plant-based diet or a more vegan diet, because she's had some personal encounters with family members and her father with some health conditions. And like myself, my daughter being autistic, she personally, she's really a chef to my daughter, because she preps some healthy meal options for her. And it's very helpful, because when you're a mother and you're in a household where you have a person that is type 1 diabetic, she's
mm.
autistic, and so her meals should be different and from the other two, so
Right.
sometimes it is easier and a blessing to have a a chef.
Oh,
My
yes.
daughter has a private chef.
Yeah.
No, but it's a
And
blessing
Chef
to
Key
have
is the
access.
beast.
Yeah, so it's a blessing to have access to that and have her, have creative meals, because when you have a person that's a younger and they're battling from different conditions and they wonder why they can't have a whole pizza, and they see other children or teenagers eating a certain way, and then when you have Chef Key, that comes in and say, hey, we can eat vegan and it could still be, like a low carb,
Delicious.
and we can make it like fun, and she'll have like all these creative meals that she has way more,
Then
specialty
the
in.
other kids are like,
I do. Like, oh, she has a private chef like coming
what is that?
in.
Smells good. Oh no,
Mm.
y'all can eat the pizza that's in the fridge. That's awesome. That's phenomenal. So, all right, the Unbreakable Woman journey. How did we get here? What made you come up with the title first off?
Ooh,
Did you have the
um,
title before you had the book, or you came up with the title last?
this is something that has really touched me, and this is my journey. Initially, when I've always liked and enjoyed writing. As a
Mm,
young girl, I used to write to God. And so, what some people would say would be a diary, I intentionally knew that I was writing to God. So, whatever I was going through in my little journal, I would tell him, like, God, please, help me through this. Or, just as a kid, I'm just telling him because I didn't, have that feeling that I wanted to talk to other people about what I was going through. And I kind of carried that in my personality throughout life. And I kind of talk about that in the book, how it's difficult for someone like myself, the person that people depend on, the person that is being called and saying, hey, can you help me? Because I'm a person that provides solutions. That's the type of woman I am. So when I'm identified as a person with solutions, people come to you. And when it was time for me to be a patient, or it was time for me to be the person to, tap into resources for myself to help myself, it was difficult for me.
mm.
So, raising a child with autism, going through a life with challenges, I decided that I was going to write a book that provided resources and spoke a little about that. As I started writing, I remembered how therapeutic it was for me.
To
It
write.
was so therapeutic that I started to add even more. And that's how some of my challenges that I encountered was able to kind of like, be listed and a part of my journey in the book.
Someone needs to hear that right now too, because I talked to being an author myself. Well, I talk to a lot of people and help them write their books and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't realize. And actually, you preaching to me. You healing me. I got books and stuff I need to finish,
Yeah.
but I forget. And someone's out there listening. As hard as it is for you to put pen to paper or sit down because you're thinking about all the stuff you got to do, as soon as you start, it just opens up the floodgates. And it's one of the reasons why I like even writing for Sheen magazine where we met.
Hmm.
Is because of the therapy of it. You have to work that muscle, but the fact that you said you were writing stuff to God, that really resonates. And somebody out there needs to hear that. It's like writing is therapy too. But you took it to the next level. You did a book.
Yeah, because it's important being from the inner city, and just I didn't have an older sister, I didn't have an older brother, I was the oldest.
Mm.
And so, me wanting to have that, it's important for me to be that person for other younger women. So that's what I feel like I've stepped into that role. In my book, I talk about taking, like a woman in from church, a young lady. She was a teenager at the time. She's a grown woman now. But just hearing her testimony and the challenges she had to face in life, uh, just like a person's worst nightmare,
Mm.
and just having her testimony resonate with me and feeling like the need that I need to pull her in. I need to pull her from, that environment. And so being able, that was like the start of my journey in terms of like really diving in and being of impact. And on that journey, I really discovered more and more about my purpose. And when I moved here, it became overwhelmingly so. I start having like these connections and these divine conversations. And so when you wake up with purpose and you understand why you are here, you wake up completely different. You
Mm,
show up completely different. Your
right.
confidence is completely different. And so I just ask that, don't misconstrue my confidence with being cocky. Just understand that I'm a woman of purpose and God is making it clear to me what my purpose is. I have to provide impact. And so although that was already those ingredients that was there, but putting it all together and understanding what that looks like is very important. And so that is my season right now. And we have seasons in life. And that's
Yes.
exactly what we kind of talk about in the book. And just being looking at the face of adversity and knowing how to be resilient and knowing how to move forward, regardless if you suffer from substance abuse, regardless if you suffer from domestic violence, trying to break through some of that trauma you experienced as a childhood. Don't carry that throughout life. That is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how to be resilient regardless of what you go through. Don't use it as a crutch.
Right.
Life is
Mm.
short.
Mhm.
Don't be buried with all of your potential because you're, using that as a crutch or a barrier as an excuse.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. So, see that Detroit star coming out of when she was like, "Don't you dare." It- all that Detroit started coming. See, all that Detroit started coming to the forefront. Don't you? So, you said you go back to Detroit. You're doing some work there in the community. And I thought it was interesting that I don't know if that was your first position, the clinic that you work with a lot of the homeless people. I don't know if that was one of your first positions after school, after you finished school. No, but even in doing that, and I jokingly said the thing about changing people's diets, but having the dietitian side, the nutritionist side, how important. I have a daughter who has food allergies, and a lot of time I was blessed. Her mom and I were blessed 12 years ago, because she's 12 now, 12 years ago, to meet Dr. Charles Tsai, a Chinese doctor in San Gabriel, who is my doctor now.
Mm,
Um, and it means everything, because when you take your daughter in there, she has eczema or she has strep throat, and I was like, should I take it to the doctor? And he was like, oh, I got something. And he gives you some herbs that smell, taste, and look like dirt, and in 3 days it's gone. You start realizing, okay, this body and this gut health is real.
mm-hmm.
What can you say to people about what you've learned about gut health, even, and what you're and the way you help people at your spot? Because I know it's a holistic piece, because uh, Chef Key, really, she is your biggest cheerleader, but also the results didn't take too long. Now, she's an active person,
Mm-hmm.
and she's mindful of, she has fat vegan and everything. She's mindful of that, but your results don't seem to take a long time when you're working with people.
Yeah, but I would be remiss to say that, there's different techniques and different approaches. It's case by case.
Right.
And so, although my approaches aren't all holistic or just about diet and just about, you know, selections of food, we also, if there's any type of pharmacological component that needs to be implemented for a short amount of time in a safe manner, where you're actually reviewing the blood work and making sure the person meet the guidelines,
Mm.
that is something that can be explored. But she knows I'm really strict about that. So even when she consults me, she's like, listen, she don't play, she don't, because you have to understand, you can't just give out different pharmacological interventions to people just because it's on television or because you hear it on a commercial. You have
Or on
to
IG, and it's like, yeah, let's do that.
yeah, you have to understand, like, yeah, you might have the Kardashians like doing certain things and you might want to try it. And that's fine to have the desire. But when you come to a person that really cares about the outcome and you changing like the trajectory of your life, like you
Mm,
want to live, like you want to be a mother longer. You want to see your children graduate from high school. So when you come to me, I have that vision too. I want the best for you too. I'm not going to give you something because it's trending or because you have the funds to pay for it. So I'm not in a
mm,
position where I need to do that. So for me, I wake up and I do it for a different reason. So if I feel like I'm changing your life, I feel like, you're going to have an extended outcome and have more, valuable time with your family. That's important,
right.
so that's part of my legacy. That's what I'm doing, providing impact, becoming immortal in that way.
Becoming
I'm
immortal.
leaving, I'm leaving a sprinkle of Dr. Weems on earth. So yeah,
You're more than a sprinkle. You planting trees. You planting trees. So
you have to.
thank you for taking time out to rap with me and talk. And I'm so old school. I used the word rap. To talk and sit back and so well, first, before we give everybody information how to get in touch with you, what would you like to say to people? What would you want to leave with them? Um, Even though this will be lifelong, it'll be everywhere on the net and everything forever. But what would you like to say to people just to encourage them in this season of their life? Because you said something very important, and I know it keys in with people who are like us. I'm from Baltimore, Detroit. When you live in a place like California or Florida or the islands, seasons don't really mean as much. But when you're from a place where the summers are hot and the winters are snowy, we change according to seasons. So what would you like to leave with people?
Just to understand that your setbacks in life are temporary. Do not let that overwhelm you. Do not let that discourage you. But also to change your life, change your mindset, be positive, be optimistic, and have a long term perspective on life in that regard. So get with people that are doing things positive. Surround yourself around people
Hmm.
that you want to become. Trust me, that is going to really change your life. That is going to change the outcome because it'll work on your subconscious mind. When you're listening to conversations of people that are productive, people that are going places, people that are really trying to build a legacy, when you are encountering those conversations, that will then transform the way you think and approach things. And so that's what I tell people, like, be resilient. Those setbacks are temporary. Get around winners, have a winner circle, and
Oh,
encourage other people. And that's what we're here for. We're here to really impact people. That's your legacy, how you can change someone's life.
like that. Have a
Chanel
winner
bags
circle.
are going to just sit in your closet, but when you can really change a person's life, put someone into college, those are the things that are really impactful and mean things in life. Drop the mic. Sorry.
You drop
I'm
them out. I had to write that down. Have a winner's circle. I like that. We talk about being in the winner's circle because we win, but if you have a winner's circle, the people around you, if your whole crew around you are winners, woo, woo,
And when
woo.
you realize your purpose, baby, that good morning, it means a lot. When you have gratitude, that means a lot. You function different, and people will see that. They will see your light. So, whatever God has planned for you and whatever that journey may look like, meditate, get in that word, and understand your purpose. It will make you happy. That's when you really have peace. That's when your soul has peace. You need self-care, but to have real peace is with God.
Oh, and you start putting the mic on the interview. Just,
But let me stop preaching.
no, 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 no. So where can people send the offering? No, no, no. Where, how can people get in touch with you? Dr. Natasha Weems.
Yeah, so I'm I'm on social media, Dr. Natasha _. I also have an author page. All of my links are on there. I have a link tree, and Dr. Natasha, the NP.com. I'm blessed that, the book is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So those are some options as well. But I'm not hard to find. Yeah, so.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking time out and talking to us here around the world. And you'll see more of Dr. Natasha Weems. You may even see her on your boob tube soon. So, because yeah, she got a face for the tizoob. So
Access
she got some drama in her too. So you might see it. I'm just like, and another thing, you like, she was so
that's Mama Bear. That's Mama Bear coming out. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm very protective, and I'm just that type of person. But yeah, that was Mama Bear like, don't you let anyone do that to you. Advocate for yourself.
You got this. Get up. Get up. Shake yourself, girl. Shake you. Okay.
Yes, all of that. We need that.
We do. You need somebody to be like, you got this. We need more. We need more motivation. We need to talk to each other more in love than so critical. So
and support each other. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dr. Natasha. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We'll talk to you soon.